Don't be afraid, this is a low fat, and you are listening to HonestAnswerRadio.com. Now, where is the egg roll you guys promised me?
The views and opinions expressed on the Honest Answer Radio show are the opinions of Honest Answer Media and no one else. If you're hearing a syndicated broadcast of this show, don't hold it against the broadcaster. Rather, congratulate them on their openness, tolerance, and respect for the First Amendment to the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you very much.
But I couldn't find a way, so I'll settle for one day to believe in you. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Tell me lies. Oh no, no, you can't disguise. You can't disguise. Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Though I'm not making sense.
Welcome one more time to Honest Answer Radio here on HonestAnswerRadio.com, where we're blasting the mainstream media in the teeth every chance we get. If it's your first time listening to us, I'm going to be the Marty half of your dynamic host and duo this evening.
And on this Thursday night edition of Honest Answer Radio, I'll be the Casey half.
This is Thursday, huh?
Yeah, although it has that sort of Monday-ish feel. But the kind of Monday, you know, where you were really out partying on like New Year's Eve or something, and you come home and it's Monday morning and you're still kind of drunk.
No, I don't know.
Because a lot of this feels, a lot of the events that have happened in the last couple of days, somebody had to be drunk to make some of these decisions. That's all I'm saying.
Dude.
We did a show, Tuesday night. That was 2 nights ago.
And where's all this stuff coming from, too? That's what's making it so bad right now. Is, you know, it's not that you and I are Republicans.
No.
Or that, you know, we sympathize with the Republican Party, you know, very much because, well, because of what's happening this week.
They're the closest thing to the conservative party that there is that right now.
I mean, like Tuesday night, you know, we were talking about that Robert Gates writing a book.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like it's gotten bigger as the week has progressed. Mm-hmm. You know, just like a day in between here, somehow or another, that story's gotten to grow a little legs.
And Glenn Beck had a take on that we'll get into in a little bit. That I'm like, yeah, that's.
I'll be interested to hear that because I actually haven't gotten around to that today. As you know, it's been kind of a busy day here at the house.
I don't have the audio, but you'll see.
Yeah.
And then what? Last night, we're about to eat, and all of a sudden, there's all this stuff about Chris Christie. I see Brian Williams. I see Brian Williams talking about Chris Christie. My mother come up here and said, put it on the Commie Channel.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it on the Commie Channel, and there was Brian talking about Chris Christie, somebody that worked for him to get back at a mayor that wouldn't back him for governor.
A Democrat mayor, by the way.
He somehow or another they shut down some traffic and caused this big traffic jam in Fort Lee,
New Jersey, yeah.
And man, somebody died during this. I mean, that's what makes all this so heinous.
Or as a result of it. I think
as a result of it, like the ambulance couldn't get there or something like that.
Yeah.
She had to wait so long, and that's part of what caused her demise.
If she had been at the hospital sooner, she might have survived.
Right. That blew my mind. Not because I've got Chris Christie on a pedestal or anything, and you don't either. I mean,
no.
Actually, we can't stand the guy.
Politically,
right.
Politically,
now,
we're not even sure why he has an R after his name. You know,
at worst, he should have an I.
Yes.
I mean, because
or it just to say NJ, and it's just know that
New Jersey first.
That for New Jersey, this is a Republican. Maybe, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell with the Yankees, but. I got some audio, dude, from Debbie Downer. And of all places,
I know this audio.
Of all places for somebody to hit her like this, CNN. They must have been paying attention to the ratings.
Well, now wait. I'll say
Roger
this.
Ailes saying he's whooping. Took charge of the
Don
news world.
Lemon is the one who was. I think is the show that you're talking about. I will say this. Don Lemon. Yeah, he is a liberal and a Democrat. I think would be his bias. But he at CNN here there's been several stories over the past couple months where Don Lemon he's right. I mean, let's just. I mean. The questions he's asking are the right questions. He's asking them in the right manner. I mean, you know, the guy's he's not throwing softballs at some of the Democrats.
Hit Debbie Downer in the teeth.
It was a beautiful thing to watch.
It really
because
was.
He really, you know,
it's kind of funny.
We can't say that there's no such thing as some fair play over at CNN because there are people over there like Don Lemon who we don't agree. I mean, really don't agree with Democrat policies. I don't. Marty doesn't. But when it comes to I guess the integrity of the host, Don Lemon has been more consistent and more, especially when it comes to issues of race and class. He's a little bit of a skeptic.
Yeah.
You know, on there, and the treatment that he was giving Debbie Downer. I'll just say it like this: nobody over at Fox would have necessarily been better at that interview because he took a very fair line of attack on Debbie Downer, which is, wait a minute, you know. You call this a scandal, but you don't call what the NSA or you know these other things. He really was smacking Debbie upside the head with some ouchies.
He asked the same question I would have asked.
Yeah, exactly.
The same question I would have asked. We've also tonight. I don't want tonight to be having Debbie Downer as a piece of audio. I've got to counter that with like 4 pieces of good stuff.
I know. To wash that taste out of that.
And let's face it, man, she can leave a bad, bad taste in your mouth. Just 2 minutes of sound bites from her. So I've got some Trey Gowdy. Now, you posted some articles today, a couple articles today, that had some video there with Trey Gowdy.
And y'all, this ain't, I know it may seem like it sometimes, this ain't the Trey Gowdy show.
No.
But the thing is, you always get good sound out of that guy.
Man.
I mean, he really comes out and just says it. And we like that.
Well, I like his take tonight, his take on amnesty,
Right.
immigration. I like what he had to say about extending the unemployment benefits. I liked what he had to say about Kathleen Sebelius.
Yeah.
So, but backing up, we were talking about the Robert Gates thing. Mm-hmm. Because that was, that's kind of like old business first.
Yeah, that's the old business, yes.
Tuesday night we were talking about how he is releasing this tell-all book, and it's got some, fairly decent bombshells in it about Obama and Hillary, and everybody started immediately asking, is this going to, could this have implications on 2016 with Hillary? I mean, are there going to be some things that come out of Gates that could potentially shut down her presidential run? Well, yesterday, Beck, on the Blaze, Beck had his take on this whole thing. And when I listened to it, I said, yeah. And here's the point. I don't know if this book is, going to be the bombshell or not. I don't know if it's a good book, a bad book, whatever. It could be a real snoozer for all I know. The question is, if he knew all of these things back then, like when he heard Barack Obama, the President of the United States, and Hillary Clinton speaking about that surge and saying that, they only voted the way they did politically, and if Obama was really this squishy with the military that Gates is alleging here, why didn't he resign then and tell the world publicly, this is why I'm resigning? And not just tell the world, but maybe tell some of these Senate and House select committees. This is why I'm no longer the Secretary of Defense.
Well, I actually know the answer to the question.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Money?
That I think.
Money?
Yeah. I mean, in a word.
I saw on Facebook
See,
somebody
now-
had said, now where's the honor in what he's doing? If he knew all of that stuff then and didn't come forward with it and was waiting to do this so that he could financially come out ahead somehow as a result of knowing these things, where's the honor? So I'm with Beck. I won't know what's in that book until I hear other people saying it, because I'm not going to pay money for it. I'm not going to give him one thin dime.
Yeah,
I'm not
it's
going to
what
pay
I'm
for
doing.
him to sit on information that potentially could have impacted the 2012 election. And he sat on it. Potentially because of his inaction, we are saddled for another 4 years with this yucks. And look at where we are now.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I appreciate all the questions about, could this impact Hillary? Look, I hope it does. I hope he knows some stuff in there and he blurts it out in this book.
I mean, because we want to know, but the question is still going to be sticking out there like a sore thumb, at least as far as we're concerned about, yeah, all this is great.
But why didn't you tell us?
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell us then, man? That ain't cool. That ain't cool. There's no honor in that. You don't tell me you wrote this book, because you just had to get it off your chest and you was writing it for the benefit of America. No, you're not. No, you're not. The benefit of America would have been if you'd have opened your mouth right then and said, hey, man, let me tell you what I just heard this fool say in the White House a while ago. Or let me tell you what he's doing with your sons and daughters and husbands and wives in the military. Let me tell you what this fool's doing to y'all.
Yeah.
Him resigning, he wouldn't have made money then? He wouldn't have made money that way? There wouldn't have been no job offers waiting on him when he got out? What? Does he need to work anymore? After all these years in government, don't tell me he ain't got no money.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
So now
some
he's
people
inked this deal. I mean, was he holding back so that it would have the most impact on Hillary's run? And even then, that's a political chump move in itself.
Well, now wait a minute.
Not if he could have spared us Barack Obama in 2012.
Well, here's a
so
thought.
that it would have took the legs out from under Hillary Clinton.
Here, let's look at this thing. Let's back up just a little bit. I don't know what his reasons are, but I'm telling you what a possible. If it was me, it'd be my line of defense anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be telling everybody, look, y'all think Barack Obama's bad? Wait till you see what
I think there's a lot of that in this book. I think there's a lot of, from what I understand from the people who've read the previews to it.
If that's the case, that he had to sit there and sit on some of that until he had enough to have an impact, there is that case to be made.
Now, did it take him this long to write the dang thing? Is that
it worth it? No, it's 536
It better be
pages.
worth it. That's all I'm saying. But either way, the honor in this is going to always be in question. It's going to be.
Yeah,
he's going to be like one of them people in the Hall of Fame with an asterisk next to their name.
Yeah, the thing is, if there are facts in this book that blow Hillary completely out of the water and take her off the table, because the next one it was everybody's little Democrat darling is the Congress lady, man. What's her? Oh God, Elizabeth Warren. Sorry.
Oh,
my brain locked up.
Man, come on!
She's next in line. So look, exactly, because anybody
the lady couldn't
would
make
mop
up
the
her
floor.
mind whether or not she was Indian or not. I'm sorry.
No. She
Native
always
American?
knew that she was Native American if there was a job in it for her.
It's just that she really wasn't Native American.
Well, yeah, but
Maybe 164th or something.
Maybe.
Maybe a Native American walked past one of her distant relatives.
She might have had a Native American midwife somewhere back in the ancestry.
Yeah, something like that. Oh man. Speaking of big women in the Democrat Party, we can kind of segue here into our
our
Debbie
audio.
Downer audio. I said earlier, and I want to say it again just to be clear. Casey and I are not fans of Chris Christie, all right? And
there's if it weren't for the fact that people got hurt, this would be kind of funny.
I wouldn't even care.
Yeah.
It'd be funny, and I wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But the question out there is, are some of these chief executives so insulated by their subordinates that they really don't know what they're doing half the time?
Let's put it this way, man. All right. Say we get so fortunate that we actually make enough money here or doing what we're doing to hire somebody to help us.
Right.
Is there ever a time where you can look at that employee and go, okay, if you're going to break the law, don't tell me about it. If you're going to violate the Constitution, if you're going to abuse the authority that we delegate to you in any way, shape, or form, is there any time where you are going to go, oh, okay,
That's
no
true.
problem? And
That's
Tina
true.
is a decision maker here too. I cannot conceive of a time that Tina would that
so
she would
far,
just give them a pass on that.
So far, there hasn't been any. They haven't been able to show where any of these emails in question here are linked to Governor Christie in any way.
But if he's
There are
hired
no
people,
texts directly from, to Governor Christie. It's kind of like...
what if this employee comes to you and says, well, okay, yeah, I kind of like abused authority and everything, but I only did it so that I could protect you by screwing your life up.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
And he has fired the one of the people. Another one has...
But he didn't make it
resigned.
clear enough. I mean, I'm sorry. He doesn't get off the hook with me.
Dude, his
with you,
press
I know.
conference was over an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
He spent an hour and a half telling everybody, look, do you think I'm stupid enough to know this is going on and not have done something about it or not have insulated myself better than this? I mean, there's really not a lot he can do except say, show where I knew it or shut up, which eventually, knowing Chris Christie, that's exactly what he's going to do. I hadn't agreed with a lot of his political diplomatic solutions. But in this instance, they hadn't showed where he personally knew anything, and they really are going to
They
try
also
to, either way, they're going to try to make it look like he did.
And they also haven't met the stonewall from the
man.
chief executive's office that, say, we've had, just with the IRS scandal.
Or with Fast
Chris
and
Christie
Furious,
did not come out
or
and
with
go,
Benghazi.
it was a rogue employee at X.
Yeah. And he said, you know what? You're fired. Look,
And don't even
you're
tell me
fired.
why you did it.
Yeah, I don't
You're
care.
Fired.
You're fired.
Yeah.
Look what you did to me. You're fired.
Yeah.
What else could they ask him to do? Now, since you brought up the comparison between Chris Christie and another chief executive that we all know, Barack Obama, that does beg to question.
What do the Democrats have to say for themselves?
Yeah, and this is, I love the way Debbie kind of tap danced around this one. Her response to this is it's downright funny. Listen to this, man.
What's the difference between Christie not knowing and the president not knowing?
The difference is the issues that President Obama said he didn't know about were policy issues. This is a scandal that leads right to his office, in which his staff, and possibly him, exacted political retribution in retaliation for a Democratic mayor in Fort Lee refusing to endorse him in his reelection. And as a result, they ordered the shutdown of 3 lanes of the George Washington Bridge on the first day of school, snarling traffic, trapping children in school buses,
right.
preventing first responders
but
from
couldn't it all
pursuing...
be called scandals, even the president? I mean, I know the president has said that these were, he believes they were made-up scandals, but couldn't they all be called scandals?
How could you compare a governor and his staff potentially deliberately shutting down 3 lanes of highway in retaliation, which these emails that came out today show that it was, in response to a mayor refusing to endorse their boss for his reelection? How could you compare that to healthcare policy, intelligence policy, and foreign policy? None of those 3 things were scandals. They're not comparable. Chris Christie has to face the music. He has refused to answer questions for months. He has said from the beginning that he had nothing to do with this and knew nothing about it, and that it didn't have anything to do with anyone in his office. And it turns out none of that is true.
Okay, so to get the
Wait, I'm pausing this here for just a minute. It turns out none of that is true. Why? Because Debbie says so. There's no proof whatsoever. There's been absolutely nothing to show that Chris Christie himself either ordered this or even knew anything about it. Not one single shred of evidence.
I would actually like to think, from what I've seen out of Chris Christie, I don't like his politics.
Not at all.
But I don't think that the man is dumb enough to actually authorize anybody to do something like that because of the...
And look,
you know,
having been
because
doing
the
this as
blowback.
long as you and I have been doing this, and having been around politicians, aides, if you want to, or staffers, that's a better word, having been around more than one political staffer, It is not out of the realm of possibility that they would do something so weaselly and slimy and backbiting and disgusting. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that they would laugh and giggle to each other with that little secret. Oh, man, look, that is, I totally think that is it's not only is it possible, it's very, very probable. But that's not going to stop Debbie Downer from declaring it to be, he knew all along and he ordered it, and it just shows that he's a slime ball. But you can't compare that. You can't compare shutting down traffic to something like, I don't know, sicking the IRS on the Tea Party, or sending automatic weapons to drug cartels that get Border Patrol officers killed.
Well, wait,
or
you
not
tell Debbie you're
providing
sorry right
proper
now.
security to an ambassador of the United States.
Wait a second.
And getting him killed. She's right.
Wait a second.
They're not comparable.
Yeah,
What?
Look, you need to just tell Miss Debbie you're sorry right now, and I'm going to tell you why.
Well, you better tell me why before I say that. I don't think I can get that out of my mouth.
Because this is exactly, every time she opens her mouth, it's like in soccer they call it an own goal, where you kick the ball accidentally into your own goalpost. And so we owe Debbie a debt of gratitude, because we couldn't, back when we were writing comedy,
Well, that's
we
true.
couldn't write this,
That's
man.
true. That's
we
true.
couldn't write this, y'all.
Because she was saying that with a straight face. Did you notice that? I mean, she's serious.
Oh, yes.
She's serious. You can't possibly compare that
Where
to
can
getting
people
an
find
ambassador
this?
killed.
Where can people find this video? Because I want them to be able to see. I think the Blaze had it.
Yeah, the Blaze has got it. Oh, it's hysterical.
I saw
man.
it in a couple of places today.
CNN's
actually.
even. Go to CNN's website. It's their show. Don Lemon, man.
Yeah.
It's on YouTube, for Pete's sake.
But didn't you have just a little bit more audio left with Don?
Okay. All right. You asked for this.
Here, wanted the DNC to come in. It must be a pretty big deal because, after Republicans are saying, listen, this is all politically motivated, even possibly by the DNC and beyond, because recent polls show that Clinton beats all opponents except for Christie. I'm talking about Hillary Clinton. And if we're looking forward to 2016, it shows that Christie beats her by 2 points, 48% to 46%. Do they have a point?
Chris Christie is the governor of the state of New Jersey and the head of the Republican Governors Association. His job this year, he said himself about a month ago that his sole responsibility right now is to re-elect and elect Republican governors. So the guy who's in charge of electing and re-electing Republican governors has created a culture in his office, at the very least, that allowed his senior staff to think that it was okay to exact political retribution that impacted his constituents, shut down 3 lanes of highway on the...
Oh, like, I don't know, taking a branch of the government, like the Internal Revenue Service, and sticking them on a political opponent, like, I don't know, the Tea Party,
maybe,
and saying, audit them and deny them their 501c3 status. Just go ahead, or 50, whatever, deny them their nonprofit status, audit the mess out of them, don't let them breathe, just till the election's over with, and possibly cost the Republicans not only the election for president, but some in the Senate as well. Not even close to the same thing. She's serious, and she's saying it like, do you know what he does? Do you know what Chris Christie does? Now, first of all, he's a Republican governor, all right?
Right.
For starters, strike one, he's a Republican governor. Not only that, you know what he does? He is the head of the Republican Governors Association. And do you know what he does? He's trying to get other Republican governors elected and reelected. That scum. That shows what a bad person he is right there. I mean, my goodness. He is a Republican governor.
Don't put words
out in public in front of everybody. That's it. I can't. I'm not playing any more of that. I can't, man. I can't.
I'm telling you, man, you better be saying you're sorry.
I am not saying I'm
hey, look,
sorry
man,
to that stank old heifer.
What if she shuts up? But what if she shuts up? Because, man, every time she talks, look, man.
Every time she talks, I have to take more Imodium.
Well, granted. But every time...
She gives me the trots, man.
But look, man, she keeps... The more she talks...
Well, you can tell this is me, my friendly, because that ain't what
the
I
more
wanna
she
say.
makes, Ted Cruz look good. The more she makes Rand Paul, the more she talks, the more it makes them
Look,
look
even
good.
in the chat, Richard Lemire's saying, "Quit with the nails on the chalkboard." See, we can't do. You know what? We got to.
We got to move on.
We got to go in
to.
another direction, man. Because this, I got to hear something good. Now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 audio bites from Trey Gowdy.
And again, folks, this ain't the Trey Gowdy show.
No.
But we pick and choose the audio for y'all to listen to. I hope we make good choices because there's a lot of stuff out there.
Well,
But
look, it's Trey Gowdy, and whenever Trey Gowdy speaks, we at least get. I feel like I'm in church almost.
You
for
remember
that.
how
Amen.
fascinated people used to be with L.A. Law?
Yeah.
What was the last one with
and
Callista
Order?
Flockhart with the lawyer show?
Felicity?
No. Any show about lawyers,
Uh-huh.
everybody goes for the courtroom drama. I think that's why Trey Gowdy's clips are so good because it's better than any of those speeches that you ever heard on LA Law when they're up there making their closing arguments in a case where they got violins playing in the background. And
Our
stuff.
courtroom drama tonight is going to start, ironically enough, with a hearing. And Kathleen Sebelius.
Oh yeah,
Now,
that's a series of hearings there.
He has
actually.
appeared. This is Trey Gowdy. He's on. He's doing a Fox News interview, and they're asking him about, whether or not Kathleen Sebelius is perjuring herself. Are they going to charge this heifer about when all this is over with because of how many lies she's told and what has the result of them lies? Dadgummit. Just listen. This is about a minute.
What, in your judgment, was she allegedly not truthful about?
Well, Secretary Sebelius has always had a complicated relationship with the truth for the 3 years that I have been in Congress. You go back and think about how difficult it was for us to get the documents in the first place, the documents that we're now using to judge the veracity of her testimony. Think back to the fall where she said the law requires us to launch on October the 1st when there is no law that requires that. Now, lying to a television camera or a reporter is one thing. Lying to a committee of Congress is actually a crime. No matter how unpopular we are, you still can't lie to a committee of Congress. There are 3 areas that Chairman Ice is concerned about. Number one, the testing that was done prior to the launch. And there's a witness named Teresa Fryer. Her testimony is in direct contravention or direct conflict with Secretary Sebelius.
Right.
It's tough to win those cases, which is why we need the documents.
Okay.
Are you in any doubt about what Trey Gowdy thinks about Kathleen Sebelius at this point, and his faith and her honesty?
Well, you know what? Oddly enough, my confidence in what he is saying there is equal to my confidence in that I think Kathleen Sebelius has been lying through her teeth all along. I mean, that the reason that there's a contradiction in testimonies there is because Sebelius is lying.
Right.
Look, it's really easy to tell. All you got to do is look at her. When her lips move, there's a lie coming out. It's really easy to tell. And Trey Gowdy is remember, we've said this before. I would not want to be sitting in the docket with Trey Gowdy as my prosecutor, even if I didn't do it. Because I think that by the time he got through going after me, I might believe I did it too.
I would really have liked to have seen some of his.
I don't know, man. I think it might make me have bad dreams. I mean, good Lord. But, all right, there's the question there. Is she lying? Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that she's not lying.
Okay. We can say that?
What?
You said that almost with a straight face. You
Only
did break
because,
up just
only
a little
because
bit.
I know what's coming. See, I can say I'm deadpanning here, man.
Okay.
This don't translate well in the audio, but that was my deadpan face. You know, I was
Okay.
keeping a straight face during this, all right? So let's just say that she's not lying, that she's just real confused.
You know, in order to be convicted of perjury, you have to prove that somebody knowingly and intentionally committed a material false representation of fact. Maybe she was just uninformed, and many of her critics say she's incompetent. Well, neither of those are a crime, are they?
No, incompetence is not a crime. If it were, I wouldn't have very many colleagues, and I probably wouldn't be here either. Now,
I'll just stop right there to say, amen.
And
let me say this. You also have a duty to educate yourself. Think back to Clapper. Clapper said he gave the least untruthful response. Well, that's not an option. You either say yes, no, or I don't know, or you can do like Lois Lerner did and invoke the Fifth Amendment, but you can't testify falsely. Did she know? Did she have a duty to know? That's what the documents are going to tell us. And Greg, she doesn't want us to have the documents. Remember,
Right.
the last time I was on your show is because she was instructing third parties not to give us the documents that we need to determine whether or not she lied to us.
Should she be fired or resign?
If you want to go back in a time machine 2 years ago, yes. I mean, he can't get anybody else confirmed because that person's going to have to answer the questions that she won't answer. I don't know if you heard her testify about the HHS contraception mandate, but she's in over her head.
That's a good place to end that. She's either lying or incompetent. Either way, she has no business occupying that position. But like Gowdy says, there's no way anybody's going to be able to be confirmed to do her job. So what do we do? I mean, are we just supposed to wait until Obama's administration is over?
I think the message here
and then
is
prosecute this heifer, or
until how quickly and how well you actually clean this mess up that you've made.
there you go. That would be punishment in itself. No,
Yeah.
you're going to fix this mess.
Yeah.
And you're going to make these, we're going to work through Congress.
You're going to make the changes that we tell you to make, and we're going to stand over your shoulder and make.
But we're
going to
do this through.
Yeah.
We're going to do this through the proper channels so that it really is written into law and not done unconstitutionally the way you and your boss, the President of the United States, have been doing all along. And while we're at it, maybe a little testimony about your boss and what your boss, exactly what you were told to do and how much of this you were told to do. And if you're lying, who's telling you to do that? See, those would be some options that I could live with. Not all of them necessarily involve her necessarily losing her job. Although if she does lose her job, I want it to be because she's got to do some jail time.
Yeah.
That would be acceptable to me. I've got some more little tidbits from Trey Gowdy. This is with Lou Dobbs, and on the one of those financial shows.
Was it Fox Business, I think?
Something.
Fox
I think,
Business
from
Network.
Fox Business Network. In it, they're talking about several things, but the two clips that I found to be of interest to us, one was the amnesty, and when he's talking about, there's a lot of folks scared that because the Senate's going to be so wishy-washy and pass these amnesty bills, then is the House, is that going to be contagious? Because, Boehner's looking kind of squishy on it himself, and there's been some question as to whether or not he's going to fold and try to push something through on his own. And Gowdy, I don't want to say he's like giving us too much hope, but his answer does offer a little bit of hope.
Now, essentially, only the New York Times still likes the Senate bill. You don't hear anybody talking about the Senate bill, including people who helped co-author the Senate bill.
Well, Congressman...
So, you're right.
In the House, you're, of course, exactly correct. Haley Barbour, though, one of the leading lobbyists and one of the highest paid and most effective, is rooting around all over Capitol Hill trying to get amnesty done. And when he roots, he leaves usually a pretty strong impression, if not the result that he's being paid to achieve. You think he won't succeed in convincing the House leadership to bail, to create amnesty and embrace in a rather underhanded and perhaps in the dark shadows of the Capitol's pillars, a deal that approximates the G8 proposal?
No, sir. I mean, there are other groups. I mean, I get hit from time to time back home, groups that I respect, faith-based groups that are still talking about amnesty. And, of course, part of that depends upon how you define amnesty. But, look, we've got some folks from the South that have really thick Southern accents that are in Congress with me, but none of them is named Haley. So I don't think Boehner's too terribly concerned about what a former RNC chair thinks. There's no appetite for amnesty as that word is commonly understood among my colleagues in the House.
Aha!
See, that's what I said in the blog when I posted that this morning.
Yeah, it's okay. Senate, y'all go ahead and be squishy, because none of that matters unless it goes through the House too.
Now, was Trey Gowdy? You think Trey Gowdy's right? He sounded pretty confident.
Well,
when he said there's no appetite, when you say there's no appetite, that means that there.
Look, he's not exactly popular amongst his colleagues there in the House, and I don't think he would make a step out like that because he's been pretty blunt in the past, and being a realist, when he sees his party about to do something stupid, he's usually in front of a camera somewhere going, my colleagues in my party
are about to do
something really stupid, and I'm not going to co-sign that. And you can usually tell when that's happening because Ted Cruz is saying the same thing, and so is. In short,
I guess the shorter version of all this, the point that I'd like to get across is, I trust Trey Gowdy and his consistency.
Yeah.
And I think he was giving that he at least believes that this is an accurate assessment.
Well, he's
that
pretty
there's
good
no
about
appetite.
telling which way the wind's blowing.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to like it, but he will tell you.
Yeah, he seems to be honest. He's not. He's not somebody that he's not a liar.
No.
He's not a liar. He's been pretty straightforward and honest, and we play a lot of Trey Gowdy not only because he's good theater, but we trust the guy.
Well, I mean, the name of our show is Honest Answer, so we've got to have some audio at some point in every show that has a little bit of honesty in it.
Because that's yet another way of bashing the mainstream media in the teeth. And this is
hate
why
it when
we
you do
like
that,
Trey
too.
Gowdy, because, man, he's just...
Well, you're not going to hear a lot of this in the mainstream press because of the honesty content. That sort of rubs the mainstream press the wrong way sometimes. So, this is going to be about the only place you're going to hear that, either here or on Fox. So,
yeah.
I got another piece from Trey. We were talking Tuesday about the president really pushing real strong to get unemployment extended.
Yes.
And Dobbs was asking him about that too, and I really liked his take on that as well.
Let's turn, if we may, to the president now. He's talking about extending unemployment insurance. We've got a vote in the Senate. Would you be willing to extend unemployment insurance for over, about 1.5 million Americans who are about to lose that insurance, given the dreadful performance of this administration in creating jobs and getting this economy going again?
Lou, I was watching today. I think my friend John Thune said it was the 13th time that we have extended the temporary unemployment benefits. I had dinner with Tim Scott last night. We were wondering, at what point do you just accept and appreciate the fact that the treating the symptoms isn't working. You have to, at some point, address the underlying pathology. We passed the Skills Act, which is going to retrain workers. It can't get a vote in the Senate. I have no interest whatsoever in punishing my fellow citizens who are desperately trying to seek work, and because of this president's policies can't find it. By the same token, even some liberal economists concede that after a while, you have to stop it. And it's been more than a while. So we're going to need to pay for, and speaking for myself and not the conference, I'm going to need some idea that we're going to reform this, and it's not going to become a fifth entitlement program, because we can't afford the other four we have right now.
Yeah,
I believe he goes on there. And by the way, did certain turns of phrase sound familiar? Because I believe we heard Jeff Sessions on Tuesday night
Talking about treating
the symptoms.
Yeah.
I believe, this message sounds familiar. Now, Jeff Sessions is a senator. He is in the Senate. Trey Gowdy is a representative. This is the House of Representatives that we're talking
and
about.
Jeff Sessions voted against this in the Senate. I want to be on record saying that as well. And so did our other Senator, Richard Shelby.
Yeah.
But Trey Gowdy's, he's speaking from a different place. And I really don't know how the House is going. It's really hard to say how the House is going to go on this. Because this is not one of those instances where Gowdy was telling you which way the wind's blowing. He's telling you what he thinks about it.
Yes, because he made that clear. He said he's not speaking for the conference, speaking for himself. I like that clarity there, because we know that he's not. He tells us, "I'm not speaking for everybody."
But he's absolutely right. I mean, I don't care how many times we've extended it in the past, but knowing that it's the this will be the 13th time, and it still hasn't had the desired effect, or the effect that Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats have said it would all along, as in creating jobs. The first time we heard that, it was ridiculous. It's way beyond ridiculous now that after this many times they still don't get it, that this is not stimulating the economy at all. People are not going shopping with this money, except maybe to the grocery store and with the utility companies.
Landlords and utility companies right now are the only ones getting any money.
And grocery stores.
And grocery stores.
People gotta eat.
Because but that's all people are getting.
That's all we can do. That's all we can do right now is eat. And, every once in a while we get to keep the lights on. I mean, the economy it's not good for anyone. 91 million people permanently removed from the workforce. There have been millions and millions of people just trying to get disability just because that's the only way that they feel like they're going to be able to feed their family.
Speaking of which, in that same little question and answer with Lou Dobbs, I believe, Gowdy brings up this point that, because he said, we got to pay for this. Yeah. If we're going to extend it, and he's like, don't tell me that Harry Reid can't find enough waste in the system. Like, how many people are drawing Social Security? They're on disability, and they're also drawing unemployment checks. Now, he's like, that you can find some money right there.
How about knocking some of that pork off some of these bills?
Well,
or why don't you just go back to the sequester if we're gonna, so we can at least save some money?
Well,
but somebody's got to pay for this, and taxing the people more heavily, that's not going. That's not going to bring the money.
How many taxes have ever created jobs? I can tell you right now, none, never.
Not one. You got Sheila Jackson Lee saying she don't even want to call it welfare anymore.
Well,
transitional living fund.
I have to correct. The only thing that grows is the government, the private sector. Taxes never, not ever, not once have benefited the private sector.
Well, now the president would disagree and say that he made the roads better. with that taxes and
No,
the bridges didn't fall.
Private companies build roads.
You don't say.
Sorry, but there it goes. And if they didn't have to do everything the overregulated government way,
well,
private industry could go out there and build better roads than we have now. If private industry was in charge of things, bridges and overpasses wouldn't be outdated.
Well,
if there were financial incentive to make things better, they will be made better. You can call it greed. A lot of people out there do. Especially some people, a lot of the young people that really don't understand how economies work. But every time there is a profit motive to innovate or make something more efficient or better, it came in the private sector. If there is a profit to be made, that's how you get the better roads, better bridges, better trains.
You're going to make me cry. I'm finna get all weepy.
And, you know...
I'm going to sing the national anthem. Can you back up and do that again? Let me hum the national anthem under that. Man, that was awesome.
Yeah, well, you know, if your voice was better...
Well, look, dude. We got like 9 minutes. And we didn't do this last week. And we still got...
Yeah.
We didn't do this last week, so we need to go through this the right way. You know, speaking of capitalism and everything...
Mm-hmm.
On our website. Somebody asked me this
You're talking
week.
about honestanswerradio.com.
That's right.
That one. Yes.
Somebody asked me this week, do you guys take donations? Do y'all do that? Do you have something on your website that says donations? And I said, well, we do.
We do. It's kind of a hidden donate button.
But if you really want to help, we got this page on our website, sponsors page. You can go there and patronize some of those sponsors. You can make use of their services. For instance, we have on our website, if bacon is your thing, if you are like me and Casey, and you would like bacon-flavored bacon.
And you know...
Bacon-flavored everything.
By the way, you know, bacon creates world peace.
That's true. That's true.
So if it's not just if you like bacon.
It's also meat candy, by the way.
It is. But meat candy is what brings world peace.
You know,
if you're against world peace, don't visit this website.
Right. That's right. It's also known that bacons are good. Bacon is good for marriages.
Yes, it is.
So, you know, if you unless you just flat out don't love your spouse. I mean, if you do love your spouse, though,
you will hit that link, which, by the way, is baconfreak.com.
You will want to buy your spouse some bacon from Bacon Freak, because it's not just, this ain't no, let's go to a grocery store and get some bacon and it, you know, no, man, no.
No, this is that thick stuff.
Dude, there's so many different kinds of bacon on here, it ain't even funny.
If you like your bacon like peppered.
Yeah, man, if you like bougie bacon, they got bougie bacon, man. It's the only, Bacon Freak's the only company I know where you can get Sediti bacon.
You can.
Because it's gourmet bacon. And it's not just the bacon, the meat, man. No, look, they got bacon-flavored coffee.
And their maple bacon-flavored pancakes.
And the syrup, they got bacon-flavored syrup, man.
So
IHOP ain't got bacon-flavored syrup, dude.
We're basically talking about being able to make pancakes without having to make the mess of frying the bacon.
No, they send you the bacon in this nice little pack, and you just put it right there in the batter. Oh, good Lord. It's making me hungry now just thinking about it. Baconfreak.com. Also, you know this Arctic vortex that we just experienced, what they called it anyway. We call it wintertime down here in Alabama. We simple that way.
Well, because we see weather.
Yeah, it's weather. I don't know about no vortex. I know that it was like 8 degrees outside. And at least in the state of Alabama alone, 27,000 people didn't have no power.
It was cold, y'all.
There was people talking about they didn't have no heat, they didn't have no power. And since they didn't have none of that, they couldn't even cook.
Well, you know what, man? If they had gone to our sponsors page,
Mm-hmm.
they would have found myfoodstorage.com,
And could have had some food
and
for
they
an
could have
emergency.
they could have had some emergency food that, you know, maybe some people went out without power, but they got out their camping stove
Yeah,
and they were
could at
able
least
to
boil water.
and they were, yeah. But you know, what do you think they got to eat? They had to cook all their meat up first and
Man,
all
look,
this.
if
They
had
could have had.
They could have had 5 cheese gourmet lasagna
Yeah.
or chicken a la king. They could have even, if they had got a little ingenuity to them, they could have gotten some of the freeze-dried fruits that My Food Storage has. They could have made pies. They could have just ate it right out the pack, really, because that stuff is awesome.
Yeah, but they could have been eating like kings.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if
And food with a 25-year shelf life. This ain't something like you buy and you got to worry about it spoiling or anything anytime soon. 25 year, man, this is like Twinkie good, man. 25-year shelf life gourmet food.
Except,
in
you know what,
containers that it ain't gonna be no big mess and nothing
but
like
it's
that. Taking up a bunch
freeze
of
dried.
space.
It's not a Twinkie.
No,
It's
not
not
a Twinkie.
made out of formaldehyde and.
Well, that's it ain't like it's not loaded with. It's not a preservative in and of itself.
No, these are gourmet, freeze dried foods.
Gourmet meat. I mean, they got freeze-dried meats there. They've got the freeze-dried fruits, freeze-dried vegetables, freeze-dried meals in themselves. There's a little calculator on there that you can figure up for your family. Like, say you want to plan for a month. You want a month's worth of food. That's at least 2 meals a day for 30 days. They got a little calculator on there to tell you exactly how much you need, down to the child. Everybody would be comfortable. MyFoodStorage.com. Also, the past few weeks have been wild. I've been preaching our sponsors more heavily than I ever have on the air, man.
But
A friend of ours,
yes, I
was
saw this
telling
too.
me that they've had their debit card jacked
Twice.
last year. Twice, man. And they were asking, you know, what is there any are any of these places any good?
And
should I look into this?
And they even asked,
Uh-huh.
is LifeLock worth it? Now,
Well-
I saw you jumped all over that with both feet.
Well, look, man. First of all, LifeLock practically invented identity security. They were some of the first, one of the first companies to ever look into looking after your identity for you. They've got plans that make it so cheap. They're not
$10 a
trying to
month.
gouge you, and
I
make
saw
it
other
a
people-
burden on you.
See, now, I happened to see this. This was on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I watched that comment thread. There was more than one person on there going, oh, dude,
LifeLock, yeah.
$10 a month. So we're not talking about some fly-by-night organization here.
And look, somebody even said the alerts are always right on time. They're not going to let anything happen to your money. I mean, it almost seems like a no-brainer. If you're looking to protect your identity,
And you should be.
especially if you still got good credit in 2014, LifeLock.com can help you keep good credit.
And LifeLock.com, by the way, is a capitalist business.
Yeah, they
are
trying to make money.
They're trying to make money, and the only way in the identity protection business that you can make money is to do what you say you do.
And be successful at it. Look, man, these are the people that look after
Rush Limbaugh's
identity,
Hannity.
and Sean Hannity's identity, Glenn Beck's identity. These people are not fly-by-nights. LifeLock.com. Do yourself a favor. And if you want to save a little additional money, because LifeLock's already making it cheap, man, all right? With $10 a month, they're making it cheap. Go there through our website. Get yourself a month free, but go there on your website and you'll get additional discounts just for doing it through honestanswerradio.com. The same goes for Bacon Freak. The same goes for myfoodstorage.com.
That's why we have these guys as advertisers. And
Another important advertiser that I've recommended this week, there's the plague going around, right?
Right, sure
And
is.
I have a lot of friends of mine that are smokers. And one of them was telling me that the worst part about being sick and having an upper respiratory distress was that they couldn't smoke, and it was making them so mean that nobody wanted to be around them to help them. First thing I said, look into electronic cigarettes. Make the investment in an electronic cigarette, because you can smoke that with that upper respiratory distress, and you ain't gonna be all hacking and coughing. It's not cutting off your oxygen like cigarettes do.
Yeah,
And
you're not
before
putting the carbon monoxide
That's right.
into your system that competes against oxygen.
And by the time you're through being sick, you may not ever go back to the regular cigarettes again. And if you're gonna invest in an electronic cigarette,
that would be v2cigs.com. That banner
look
ad
up
that's
the
on there.
reviews, man.
Yeah, don't take our word for it.
V2Sig sits at the top of all of the reviews. They are the most reliable. They have a lifetime warranty on their products. Like if your batteries mess up, and like our dad, he had V2 cigarettes. And if something would go wrong with one of his batteries, he would just call them and tell them, hey, something's wrong with my battery. They would just go ahead and put one in the mail and send it to him, and send him an envelope to send the other one back. They don't make you wait. If you're about to go buy a pack of cigarettes because your battery's dead, they don't want to be responsible for that. It's their product. They're going to stand behind it, and they're going to send you another one.
We've seen the results. They stand behind that stuff, man.
If you're going to try this, go with the best companies out there. V2Sig sit atop the reviews for a reason. And their flavors are off the chain, man. Their V2 Cherry, it tastes like a Jolly Rancher.
It's good
if
stuff.
you want menthol, they got that. They got regular tobacco flavors. You name it, man. They've got it. V2cigs.com. And go to these places by going to our website. Also, if you're looking for entertainment other than, Honest Answer Radio, because all we can really help you with is politics.
But if you're interested in some other stuff, like, say, sports,
yeah,
then hover your little mouse over our channels tab, and in the drop-down menu that pops up there, you will see Sports World Radio. That's Jeff and Sean.
Fastest hour in sports, man.
On the internet.
On the internet, excuse me.
They are that, and we're talking all of the internet.
Oh, yeah. They're not just going to be talking about one sport. It don't matter what season it is, man.
They're on it.
They are on top of it, and they've got information about what's coming up next season for every sport as well. They are on top of all of the news related to sports. So get your sports fix there, man. Like Casey said, just hover over the channel thing. Sports World Radio. And if you are like me and Casey, and you are believing that what this world needs to do most of all, at least what this country needs to do right now most of all, is hit your knees and pray. If you're agreeing with us on that, and you are feeling that your heart, you just need that challenge there.
Well, speaking of challenges,
we got to make a challenge.
Challenge from the heart with Pastor Rick Hopen from Lillian, Texas. Don't hold it against him that he's a Texan.
Man, I want to tell you something. I was listening yesterday to Pastor Rick also broadcasts his sermons there at First Baptist Church Lillian over Spreaker. And I was listening to his last sermon, and he had called it The State of the Church. And he made some really good points in that sermon. I ain't going to give it away. Go listen to it. But one of his points is that we need to change the way we talk to each other. We've got to take some of the language, some of the understand, and put it in. Don't try to be so stuffy about stuff. We've got to learn to communicate with each other. Talk each other's language. It was a very, very, very moving sermon. If you don't know Jesus, Rick can introduce you.
But if you do know Jesus, if you're a Christian, but you need to have...
if you're a Christian, you need your heart challenged. You need to challenge yourself every day.
If you want to be challenged and to meet challenges in your personal life, look, you're not going to be steered wrong.
Mm-mm. I tell you what,
not by Pastor Rick.
When I turned that sermon off yesterday, by the time I got to the end of it, man, I was like, okay, oh, okay, I'm gonna work on this, Rick. I am. I mean, it was like he was kicking me in the shins for an hour there, and I sat there and took it. Well, all right, man. This is Thursday. We ain't gonna be back again till Tuesday. In between now and that time, could you think maybe it'd be asking a lot if we could just like behave ourselves and not cause a ruckus over the weekend and have like Tuesday, me and you coming on the air and going, you know what, there's not a lot going on over the weekend.
Richard and John were talking to y'all. Y'all better be nice.
You act like y'all got some sense. Rick too. Rick Hopefully he's out there.
Is he out there tonight? Rick,
he's
you better act
listening.
right too.
We watching you. You Baptist.
I
you gotta act right.
watched him kick over a can of worms on Facebook this week that I know he just probably sort of wishes he hadn't have done that one.
He's always doing that.
Because, man,
you know, for a Baptist preacher, he showed us up a lot of trouble.
You ain't kidding.
Well, all right, y'all. We're gonna get out of here.
That's why we love him.
That's true. Man after my own heart. All right, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. Later on.
Good night, y'all.